Muy buenos días a todas las personas que están conectadas en este momento. Mi nombre es Camila Flores, hago parte del programa Consejería Académica y Relaciones Internacionales y hoy estaremos realizando un webinar con University of Alberta. Para ello nos acompaña Nicole Duert, quien estará realizando la presentación el día de hoy. Pero antes de comenzar, quería comentarles que todos los martes y jueves de estas semanas estamos realizando a las 11 de la mañana webinars acerca de la convocatoria del programa Crédito Beca, por si quieren resolver todas sus dudas. Y también mencionarles que con esta universidad tenemos un acuerdo que proveerá a los beneficiarios admitidos en uno de los programas cobijados por el convenio con COLFUTURO la suma correspondiente a la diferencia de la matrícula para estudiantes internacionales en relación a la matrícula de estudiantes nacionales, siempre y cuando el estudiante haya solicitado a COLFUTURO más de $15,000 para su manutención. Ya Nicole estará hablando un poco más acerca del convenio que tenemos y recuerden que pueden hacer todas sus preguntas en el chat que encuentran en la parte inferior de sus pantallas y estas serán respondidas al finalizar la sesión. Nicole, welcome and thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and thanks for coming out, everyone. I hope you're all doing well and staying healthy during this unusual time. I'll just share my screen now. Okay, so let's just get right into it. So a little bit about where the University of Alberta is located. Within Canada, we're more on the western side of the country. So we're in the prairie provinces. You can see in the little zoom in, it kind of looks like we're close-ish to Vancouver on the western side. Don't let that fool you. It's actually about a 12-hour drive from Edmonton to Vancouver, or about an hour-and-a-half flight, because as you can see in the middle, there's the Rocky Mountains, which is a great place to escape to. So the city of Edmonton is where the University of Alberta is located. So we are Alberta's capital city. We have about 1 million people. Edmonton is known as one of the youngest and fastest growing cities within Canada. We're a major economic hub. We have a very clean, safe environment. Actually, we have some of the largest urban park space in North America. So much bigger than what like Central Park would be in New York City. And we're very lucky that the University of Alberta is kind of right next to that River Valley Park space. And Edmonton is also, we're lucky to have a bit of a lower cost of living, especially compared to other major cities in Canada like Toronto and Vancouver. So Edmonton is the capital city of the province of Alberta. So a little bit about Alberta. We have a population of about 4 million people. It's considered Canada's kind of energy producer within the country. Like I said, we have the Rocky Mountains within the province, so there's a beautiful natural environment. This photo right here, it's about like a 3.5-hour drive from Edmonton. And we're also lucky in Alberta to have 6 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. So lots of great places to explore in Alberta. So just some highlights about the University of Alberta. We are ranked number 4 in terms of research-based universities in Canada, and we're ranked number 81 in the world when it comes to research output. I listed some of the top 10 ranked programs in the world here, like forestry, geology, sports-related programs, but we have a number of programs that are ranked within the top 50 in the world as well. We have over 40,000 students from 156 different countries. Of those 40,000, about 7,000 students are international students. We do have, within our graduate student population, so students in master's or PhD programs, about 40% of our graduate students are international students. So within your program, you're going to meet students and faculty members from all over the world. Another thing I'd just like to highlight is we are ranked #2 in Canada in terms of graduate employment rankings. So what this means is that the U Alberta grads are some of the most qualified and sought out by employers in Canada. So this is a list of all the faculties at the University of Alberta that do offer graduate programs. So as you can see, we're a very comprehensive university, not just in STEM fields, but arts and humanities as well, law, business. I'm not going to kind of go through all of these. I'll just kind of highlight some of our biggest faculties at the U of A. So one of the biggest ones is our Faculty of Medicine and Dentistry, some of the most modern, well-equipped facilities in Canada. There's over 20 departments and 15 centers and institutes. And we're very well known for research in diabetes, neuroscience, virology. Actually, one of our professors just won the 2020 Nobel Prize. Cardiovascular research, and we're #6 in the world for transplantation research. Our School of Business, we are ranked #4 in Canada, and we're ranked within the top 100 in the world. Our MBA program is very unique, and it has a variety of different specializations. Some of the ones that are a bit more unique are the energy, finance, public sector and healthcare management, and real estate as well. And our Faculty of Agricultural, Life, and Environmental Sciences. So it kind of touches on a wide range of things related to the life sciences, like nutrition, agriculture, land reclamation. As you can see, we're #5 in the world for forestry. There's some other unique, smaller programs in this faculty, like they do research on aging, families, excuse me, textile studies. So a lot of really unique programs in this faculty. And I'll also note that a lot of their programs, so for example, you can do a dual master's degree. So you can do a master's in business combined with a master's in agriculture. So they have kind of unique options like that. Our Faculty of Engineering, we have a number of specializations. Some of the bigger ones are biomedical, chemical and materials engineering, civil, environmental, computer and electrical, mechanical, and we have engineering management program as well. We are top 18 in the world for mining engineering, and we have Canada's largest and oldest petroleum engineering program in the world, ranked #5. And our Faculty of Science, so they have these 7 departments that I've listed here, but they also have some unique professional master's programs. So for example, urban and regional planning, integrated petroleum geosciences, statistical machine learning. So there's lots of different options in our Faculty of Science. We're ranked #5 in the world for our geology research, and artificial intelligence and paleontology, we rank #3 in the world. So we're very strong in those areas. So like I said, I don't really have time to go into all the different programs. I'd encourage you to check out the website. You can do a little search to see your research area of interest and see what kind of programs we offer for that. I'll kind of move on now to some other aspects of the University of Alberta. So in terms of facilities, we do have some world-class facilities, one of which is our National Institute for Nanotechnology. So this is a a place within Canada that a lot of researchers doing projects within nanotechnology will come and do research projects here. It's funded jointly by the Government of Canada and the Government of Alberta and the university. We have a lot of new modern buildings on campus kind of combined with some of the older, more original buildings. So it's a nice mix. We have Canada's second largest library collection, technologically advanced classrooms. We have a teaching hospital on campus and over 400 different research labs. And the photo here on the slide is of our Tim Centre for the Arts, which is Canada's best theatre training facility. So in terms of housing on campus, there are lots of different options. There are residences that are specific for graduate students. Depending on your budget, you can get a place on your own or you can share with another graduate student. So there's a lot of different options to fit various budget ranges and needs. There are meal plans available as well that you can opt into. And as long as you apply before April 30th of the next academic year, you're guaranteed a spot in our campus housing. So some of the other services and supports I just wanted to kind of touch on briefly. Our Student Success Center and the Center for Writers. These folks do great work, offering a lot of different workshops, one-on-one tutoring. Our Student Success Center offers things like, workshops on how to write a thesis proposal, or maybe you're preparing to present your research at a conference. They can kind of give you some tips and advice on how to prepare for that. We also have a lot of health supports on campus. So we have a health center, we have counseling services. As part of the tuition and fees, you get, health and dental insurance. We have recreation facilities on campus that are free for students to access. So swimming pool, climbing wall, track, lots of different courts, so lots of options. We have 450 different student groups. So probably it doesn't matter what your hobby is, how unique it is, you'll probably find someone else on campus who has the same interest. And we have our International Student Services Center. So we have specialized advisors in this center. We have immigration advisors who can help with students, maybe applying to renew their study permits or applying for work permits. They offer an English conversation club and lots of different kind of group activities for international students. So when it comes to working, all students who come to Canada with their study permit, you can work either on or off campus for up to 20 hours a week while you're studying full-time. So there's lots of different opportunities. Right now with COVID, there's not as much, but a lot of graduate students will have opportunities to work as a research assistant or a teaching assistant. We do have a career center on campus that supports students, either with on-campus or off-campus job opportunities. And our Faculty of Graduate Studies has a professional development requirement, which means what you'll kind of create an individualized career development plan, and you attend various workshops, conferences to kind of contribute to fulfilling that plan, just because we want students to be prepared for potential employment opportunities once they graduate. So I'll just kind of go over the types of graduate degrees that we offer. So when looking at masters, there's usually two main types of degrees. A thesis-based master's degree. This usually, in your first semester or two, you're focused primarily on coursework. But these are courses that are going to help you with your research, in your second year. And then your second year is spent on your research, writing your thesis, and doing your defense. Whereas, and a thesis-based master's, I would say typically is done within 2.5 years is the average. A course-based master's is just that, it's just courses. So you're only doing coursework, and then you have just a final project at the end of your program. A small project, not as big as a thesis kind of component. And a course-based master's can typically take anywhere between 1.5 years to complete. Then we have our doctoral degrees. So same type of thing, you start off doing more courses that are going to kind of help you prepare for your research down the road. And typically a PhD, I would say on average at U Alberta, 4 to 5 years is what most students can complete a PhD within. For each of these types of degrees, like a master's, you normally need a bachelor degree in that area. Same with doctoral. You'll need a master's degree kind of in that same similar field. Now, in terms of admission requirements, I see I didn't change this. Ignore the 70% good. That's for a different cohort. But the minimum GPA that we're looking for in your last 2 years of full-time studies is 3 out of 4. Or I believe on some scales in Colombia, it's like a 3.7 out of 5. And like I said, we'll only look at your last 2 years. So if you didn't do great in your first year of your bachelor program, that's okay. For English requirements, we typically look at IELTS or TOEFL, 6.5 or 90. I know right now with COVID, a lot of these testing centers are closed. So we are accepting, some of these companies have online versions. We are temporarily accepting the online Duolingo English exam as well. So there's lots of different options to meet our language requirement. And I will note that these are the minimum standards for our Faculty of Graduate Studies, but some departments and some programs asks applicants to meet higher requirements. So especially if you're in the health sciences, they'll typically ask for a higher language score. And some more competitive programs like a master's in economics, they get a lot of applicants, and so they'll ask for a bit of a higher GPA. So while I'm showing you the minimum requirements, it's important to check out the website of the department you want to apply to, just to make sure that you meet their requirements. So typical documents that you will need in order to apply. We're going to look at your CV, your university transcripts, and degree certificates. And so we look for both the original language and an official English translation. And that translation, it doesn't need to be done by your home university. It can just be, taken to an official translator within your home city. The English test score, a statement of research interest. So this is like a 1 to 2 page document where you're kind of targeting one particular professor that you want to do research with, kind of explaining to that professor why you want to work with them, what about their research interests you. If you want more information on how to write this, you can send me an email. I'll leave my email after the presentation, and I can send you more information on how to write the statement of research interest. We typically look for 3 references. So when you apply online, you just enter the names and email addresses of 3 references, and then we'll send them a form to complete. Confirmation from a supervisor. So if you're planning on doing a thesis-based master's or a PhD, for most departments, the first step you need to take is finding a professor who agrees to supervise your research in that program. So this means you're going to be emailing professors some of these documents, trying to convince them why you would be a good candidate for their research group. And then some departments will have additional requirements as well. So for example, the GMAT or GRE is a common requirement for business school. Our economics program also asks for a GRE, so that's the graduate record exam. And there's, depending on the department, if you want to do a program in English literature, they might ask for like a writing sample or something like that. So as I mentioned, it is important to find a professor who agrees to supervise you before you apply for a research-based program. So I usually advise that you email them your CV, your transcripts, your statement of research intent, and maybe the language score as well. And then you can just suggest to the professor some days or times that, you could potentially Skype or have a video chat with them to discuss it. If you are planning on applying for COLFUTURO funding, you can send me an email and I can kind of help you with this process, because that way I can make sure that the professor is aware of our agreement with COLFUTURO and how that funding program works. So in terms of tuition, at the University of Alberta, the tuition will not increase during your program. Like for your, whatever the tuition is on your first year, it will continue for the remainder of your program up to a maximum certain number of years. International students can expect to pay approximately just over $10,000 per year for a thesis-based master's or doctoral program. This is Canadian dollars. Course-based master's is usually a little bit more, and it's kind of dependent on how many courses you take each semester. And some course-based masters, like our Master of Engineering and our MBA programs, are typically much higher. So for example, a Master of Engineering is probably closer to the $20,000 a year for that program, and MBA is even higher. So these kind of numbers here are for the majority of our programs, but there are some exceptions to those. And then I'll just touch on our agreement with COLFUTURO. So we have a long relationship with COLFUTURO. We've had a number of COLFUTURO students at the University of Alberta. So our co-funding agreement is specific for students studying in thesis-based graduate programs, so where you're going to be doing research. What we'll do is we'll charge the domestic tuition rate. So you would be charged the same as a Canadian student rather than an international student. So you'd be paying a lower price for your tuition. So like I said, this doesn't apply to students in course-based masters. This doesn't necessarily mean that you can't, apply for COLFUTURO funding if you're doing a course-based master's. It just means you won't get that tuition discount. So like I said, if you're planning on applying for COLFUTURO and applying to University of Alberta, you can just send me an email and I can give you, the details of that. So I'll just touch on my program that I work in, the sponsored student program. So I work with international students who have financial assistance from their home country to help with their tuition and living expenses. So we have dedicated staff to kind of help students in this situation. We kind of, we work closely with COLFUTURO, especially when it comes to, invoicing, tuition payments, things like that. So if you ever have, any issues that come up during your stay here, you can contact the sponsored student program and we'll be your primary advisor. And so I'll just share a little video here of one of our students from Colombia.
My name is Paula and I'm from Colombia. I'm currently in my second year of my doctoral degree at the University of Alberta, and I'm doing a PhD in rehabilitation science. The University of Alberta is globally recognized for the the significant contributions in research in physical therapy, so I decided to come to this university. And during my placement, I was able to acquire different skills and practical knowledge. I really like how the University of Alberta cares about the students. There are activities and very fun activities throughout the year. The students are friendly and very welcoming, and I love how the campus, like the modern facilities the campus has, and also the big campus the university has. I would say it's a very important event. That was my convocation. First of all, it was like one of my dreams come true, and second, it was a beautiful ceremony that I will never forget, for sure. So I have 3 tips for anyone. The first one is always come with an open mind and participate in many activities the university offers. For example, intramural sports, there are trips to the mountains, there are conversational clubs, among many other activities that are available for the students. Second, I will say participate in academic activities, always to strengthen your communication skills and to build some networks, like professional networks that will help you in the future. And third, I will say just enjoy and make the most of each opportunity and have fun at the university.
Okay. Oops. So that's all I have for you today. So there's my email address, uaissp@ualberta.ca. So feel free to contact me, if after the presentation today, if you think of other questions, feel free to contact me, or if you are planning on applying for both COLFUTURO and UAlberta, let me know and I can kind of give you a hand with that process. So I think, Camila, I'll turn it back to you and we'll do some Q&A.
Yes, for sure. We have quite a lot of questions, so I'll start right away.
Sure.
The first one is from Santiago, and he says, for the IELTS or TOEFL, it's necessary that we have the score since we start the program, or during the program we can do the IELTS or TOEFL?
No, you have to have the score when you apply to the program. So you need to already meet that language requirement. Some departments will allow you to, they might have a conditional admission, which means they might admit you, but there's a condition that you have to meet the requirement before you start the program. So not a lot of programs are flexible like that, but there are some.
Okay. The next question is from Joanna, and she says, how much is the tuition for international students, an average?
Yeah, so, if you're doing a research-based program, it's about $10,700 per year. If you're doing a course-based program, it can be anywhere between 13 to 14,000 Canadian per year, kind of depending on the courses.
Okay. They're also wondering if the Duolingo exam is accepted.
Yeah, right now, if you're living in an area where other testing centers are closed right now and you only have online options, then yes, we are accepting Duolingo.
Awesome. Karen is wondering if it's possible to do a PhD in Canada in French.
It is. So the University of Alberta, we do have a French campus. It's mostly undergraduate programs. We do have some graduate programs in French as well. But, Alberta is kind of on this side of the country where it's mostly, English is the primary language that's spoken. Whereas there's more options and more opportunities for grad students on the eastern side of Canada in the province of Quebec, where it's all French speaking.
Sure. The next question is from Maria Paula, and she says, hello, Nicole. I would like to know the main differences between MSc thesis-based programs and the MEng, and if the former is only for research or is it also taught courses?
Yeah, so I think when I covered that slide, so the MSc or the thesis-based programs, you do still do some courses, just not as many. and it's courses that will go towards your research. Whereas an MEng, you're only doing courses throughout your entire program. The other main difference is how long it takes to complete the programs. A thesis-based program it takes a bit longer, and it really depends on how your research progresses. You know, if you have things that go wrong with your research, it could take a little bit longer. So 2.5 years is probably the average, whereas an MEng program, a lot of students are able to complete that within a year or a year and a half.
Thank you. The next one is from Felipe, and he says, "Hi, I already have a master's degree. In the minimum GPA that you require in admission, you consider the one of the bachelor's degree, the one of the master's degree, or both?"
What we're going to do is we're going to look at your last 2 full-time years of studies. So if your master's was, you know, done in a year or something, then we'll look at your year of your master's and then your last year of your bachelor's. So it just depends how many years you were studying, and we'll just look at the last 2 years. So if you spent 2 to 3 years on your master's, then we're probably just going to be looking at your GPA for your master's.
Okay, thank you. The next one is from Mauricio, and he's wondering what's the acceptance rate for graduate international students?
Unfortunately, that's not information I have, you know, because each department does their own admissions and they kind of go through their own process. So that information isn't kind of made available to us.
Thank you. The next one is from Juan Camilo, and he says, "How difficult it is to apply for a visa for both a spouse, work visa, and student visa once you are admitted by University of Alberta?"
Yeah, no, it's a very simple process. We have staff at our office in the international office who can kind of help you with that. And we have some tips and advice for students with families or partners. Yeah, it's a very simple, straightforward process. And it's quite rare that we see students whose family members are denied visas or vice versa. So it's usually not a problem.
Awesome. The next one is from Maria Catalina, and she's wondering, can I work in Alberta having a student visa?
Yeah. So if you're going to be a research-based student, you'll be a full-time student all year round, which means you can work up to 20 hours per week, either on or off campus. If you're a course-based master student, you can work 20 hours per week while you're studying full-time, but in the semesters that maybe you have off, like in the summer semester, when there's no courses available, then you can work full-time, like 40 hours a week.
Awesome. The next one is from Oscar, and he's wondering, is there a limit on how old your bachelor degree can be when you apply to master's program at the university?
No, not at all. We don't look at the, you know, how long ago you finished your bachelor degree. So that's not a problem.
Super. The next one is from Carlos, and he says, do you accept SuperScore TOEFL test? If I have not yet validated my English skills, can I access a pathway without affecting the scholarship granted by COLFUTURO?
So let me just make sure I understand the question. So wondering if there's like a course that you can take at U Alberta to kind of meet the language requirements?
I think so. Carlos, maybe if you can clarify that information on the chat so we can answer better your question. I'll be doing the next one. Sure. Edwin is wondering, when would be the latest deadline to apply with Duolingo?
Great question. That is something I didn't mention. So in terms of deadlines, every department has their own different deadlines. So for example, I know a lot of programs in arts and education, the deadlines have already passed for September admission, whereas some deadlines are coming up, like in March, April. So it depends on what program you want to apply to. So I'd encourage you to check out the website of the department you want to apply to check their individual deadlines for that.
Yeah. The next one is from Alvaro, and he says, hello, thanks a lot for this webinar. I am interested in the citation program in geostatistics with Professor Clayton Deutsch. Is this type of program also included in the sponsorship program?
So if it's a research-based, like if it's a thesis-based program, it will be included. So that's the only kind of caveat to that, co-funding between COLFUTURO and U Alberta. As long as it's research-based, it's covered. If you're wanting to do a course-based master's, a professional master's, those ones aren't covered.
Okay. Valentina is wondering, do I have to have work experience here in Colombia if I want to apply for a master?
No, not at all. That's typically not looked at for master's applications.
Okay. Edison is wondering, is there any internships during the master degree programs? And also, is there any possibility to earn experience working in Canada?
Yeah, absolutely. So our Faculty of Graduate Studies does have an internship program that students can apply to. It is competitive, and it's kind of, you have to kind of take a lot of the initiative to find an internship opportunity, but that can be included as part of your degree program. In terms of work experience, yes, like I mentioned, like you can work while you're a student. And then, folks who graduate from programs in Canada, if you decide you want to stay in Canada, you can apply for a postgraduate work permit as well, which would allow you to work in Canada for the same length of time you studied, up to a maximum of 3 years.
Awesome. The next one is from Javier, and he says, would it be possible to transfer PhD credits from a different university and complete my thesis in less than 2 years?
It's very difficult. I will be honest that transferring courses and credits for a PhD is very difficult because, PhD level courses are very specific. So they would have to be very similar in order to grant credit. What you would have to do is, if you apply to the University of Alberta, you'd have to provide kind of course descriptions of all the courses you did in Colombia. And then the department that you're applying to can assess them to see if there's some similarities between the courses you did and the University of Alberta courses.
Awesome. The next one is from Mauricio, and he says, has the assessment for the study permit process have any costs?
Yes, there is a cost to apply for the study permit. Unfortunately, I don't have that information handy right now. I'm usually not involved in the immigration stuff, but yes, there is a cost to apply for the study permit. But you can just apply online. It's quite a simple process.
Oscar is wondering, how much is the domestic tuition rate that would be charged to Colombian students who apply to a thesis-based master's program, taking advantage of the agreement with COLFUTURO?
Yeah, so right now the domestic tuition price, looking ahead to the next academic year, an estimate is probably it's going to be around 6,500 Canadian per year.
The next one is from Karen, and she says, if I don't meet the English requirements, is there any English course that I can take to meet the requirements before the start of the master? Thank you.
Yeah, we have an English language school with the University of Alberta. And depending on, you can do a placement test with them so they can kind of see what level you're at and what courses you need to take. But we do have an English for Graduate Studies course. It's a 4-month-long course, and some departments will accept completion of that course as meeting their language requirement.
Okay. And I think this is gonna be the last question. We have quite a lot, so
okay.
Maybe if you have any further doubts, you can contact Nicole throughout the email you can find on the slide that is showing right now. So the last one is from Alejandro, and he's wondering, what is the minimum GPA score required for a master's degree application?
Yeah, so the absolute minimum is, a 3 out of 4 on that 4.0 scale. If it's a 5.0 scale, I believe it's a 3.7 out of 5. And again, we'll only look at your last 2 years of your full-time studies. We'll do your GPA calculation. But like I said, some departments will ask for higher requirements. So it's just good to check the website of the department you want to apply to.
For sure. Nicole, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for doing the presentation. If you want to add something else before finishing the webinar, you can do so.
Yeah, no, just thank you everyone for joining me today. And I hope to hear from many of you, and just stay safe, stay healthy, and yeah.
For sure, thank you. Para todas las personas que están conectadas, gracias por haber asistido al webinar. Que tengan un buen día and have a very nice day.